get a marketing plan, do what you have to do. I mean, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. I'm on my way. You don't have to have an Einstein type idea, design, innovation, but it's something very practical that you know a lot of people are going to want because you want it. You see the value in it, you see the virtue in your idea. But remember, it starts with just an idea. You imagine something. It's just like how I tell people to imagine living in a world entirely without money. It's a good practice. I love it. I love practicing that because I want to be there. I want to be there. No form of money at all. So nobody can have an advantage over me, and I can't have an advantage over anybody else, and I don't want to. And I'm so glad that day is coming. I'm so glad that the things that men find highly valuable often are found detestable in the sight of God. I'm so glad that God's a good guy and that I see eye to eye on this issue. I want to be in a world entirely without any form of money. So hopefully that's a world I will be found worthy to live in and deserving of. I want to be there. Okay? I want to be free. I need to be free. And I have the right to pursue happiness. And freedom is at the top of that list. And you have these rights too. And I suggest you exercise your rights as a duty too. You know, not just like taking my rights. No, you've got to do it for your fellow human being. You have an obligation, a responsibility, a duty to exercise your free speech rights. Oh yeah, there's a God. Pray tell how any other theory is remotely possible. It is too fantastical, folks. You think about it. I mean, it's just so bizarre. When I think about people that don't believe there's a God, a creator, I just think how stupid, roundly stupid that is. How could there not be a God, a creator, a designer? It's just stupid. Things don't, we all know, the science shows that things don't just get more and more intricate and detailed in design and symbiotic. It's just like your body, you know, you need a liver or else you'll die. You need a kidney or else you'll die. You need a heart or else you'll die. You need a brain or else you'll die. And so you're going to tell me all this happened just by chance. That's like saying you could pick up a whole junkyard and put it in a big giant tumbler, right? And then you just spin it around for long enough, and eventually this brand new shiny new Buick is going to come out of there, right? Mm-hmm. Right, right. That's nonsensical. That's insanity. That's a preposterous notion. But that's exactly what an agnostic or an atheist would suggest. If they don't believe there's a creator God, that's what they're trying to tell you. Stupid. To be overly invested in any given dream is clearly foolish on its face. Likewise, to be overly invested in this current worldwide paradigm is foolish, as it too is transient, temporal, and impermanent. It is very unfortunate, though very apparent, that humanity needs some earth-shaking event to occur in order to jar us out of our slumber. This in order that we absolutely, unequivocally, finally get it through our thick skulls that our owner, God Almighty, is exceedingly angry with humanity at large. Not everyone, though. But he is done playing tiddlywinks, to be sure. That's what I mean, folks. We're down to the wire. I feel it with every fiber of my being, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad that the deer panting for water going through the desert is finally about to reach the oasis. It's coming. Good is coming to this earth. But we're going to go through, it's going to be tough because the evildoers are going to fight tooth and nail. They have decided it's a fight to the finish. They hate God. They hate humanity. And they're going to do all they can to wreak havoc in the land as much as they can for as long as they can. They're going to push this envelope. They're going to just try to keep humanity on this trajectory, this descent into hell and chaos. And just why in the earth would Americans accept third world status after the 1960s? aside from the Vietnam War, the most horrible, one of the most horrible wars in history. Um, the 60s, we were on our way to freedom until they murdered JFK. I mean, it just, oh God. Evil forces are in control. The reason they're in control, they're willing to do things that the good forces are not willing to do. Good forces cannot compromise their integrity, their honor, their conscience, their soul. Evil forces can. So, in that sense, they have a huge advantage. Of course, it's a huge disadvantage because they're on the highway to hell. So, I mean, it's tough, man. It's tough. But if you trust in God, you're going to get through this thing. That's the only thing I could tell you is just, reaffirm daily with your relationship, your one-on-one personal relationship with God, then you let him know you need him. He'll guide you. He'll get you through life one day at a time, give you the courage, the wherewithal to cope, to contend in this evil world system, and just have a pure, clean heart. Know that you're willing. Look, you want the same things you want for yourself and your family. It's not hard to figure out. This is logic. This is very simplistic. So just ask yourself, what things do you want for yourself and your family? Do you want them to be financially free? Do you want them to be financially secure? Okay, yes, you do. Then you must be willing, if you want to see, better days, okay, if you want to inherit a renewed earth and not end up going to hell, if you want your family and yourself to be saved, you've got to teach these same things. You want these same things. You've got to want them for everybody. You've got to be willing that everybody be set free and their children. You understand? If you're not, you're evil. Okay? And you will go to hell. I mean, you're going to hell because you're buying your own ticket. It doesn't have to be mean. You don't want to be in the other world. Okay? You've got to really want to be in a world that's pure and clean. And there's no money. Okay? There's not going to be any way to have an advantage over another. That's all it's being used for. It's just a bunch of bull. It's all evil. It's Satan's ambrosia. It's the rule of the day in this world. As an innovator, I ask, if I'm the guy with the improved design innovation, then why am I the one who must pay to bring it to market? Citations. An innovator has to pay for a business plan, public relations, a marketer. He's got to pay for the manufacturing. He's got to pay a distributor. He's got to pay for patenting. He's got to pay for advertising, etc., any licensing, all that crap. Okay, you see what a pain in the ass it is? Money. It's all about money. All these patents, it's all about money. If you didn't have a money-based unreality, there'd be a hell of a lot more innovation out there. People were free. There was no disruptive technology. Disruptive? What are you talking about? Well, what about this fission fusion? My own nephew, they're getting him to study this stuff. He's an engineer and a physicist. He's learning all this stuff. To send him to study intern at a lab, big well-known lab here locally, and it's like, wow, this is real. But could you imagine if you could just buy a unit that you put in your house and you had perpetual, endless energy as much as you wanted? You think that's music to the ears of the electric company? That's disruptive technology. If you had a hydrogen production unit you could put under the hood of your car, okay, miniaturized hydrogen production, it's like having, we all know there's been hydrogen production factories since like the 17th century, okay? So, but if you could have that, do you think that's music to the ears of the oil companies and their shareholders? Do you understand the implications of these things? What disruptive technology is, disruptive to these people's profits. So do you understand how we'd be far more innovative if we were free to be innovative? There was no patent BS, none of this crap, no disruptive technology. This is stupid, man. But we're all trapped. I mean, the best slave is one that they don't know it. You're all being oppressed. We all have a reason to object, to feel persecuted and victimized. Yeah, we are. If you're a good guy, you're going to feel victimized, okay? So it's a bear. It's tough. It's tough being human. We need God. We need that relationship. Because no man can give you what you need. No psychiatrist, no psychologist, no counselor, no therapist, no preacher, no pastor, no friend. You can't expect them to. They're only human. They're fallible. They're weak. They're human. They might have bigger issues than you. Okay? You just don't know. They might themselves have a psychiatrist they go to. And here you thinking you're getting all this help. But, I'm just saying. Is it really radical to suggest that at this point in human civilization, no person should be forced to live in fear of broaching certain man-made laws or lack thereof, and even be prevented from surviving, living, or existing if they should dare choose to not conform to these particular man-made laws or rules, yet due to our training, I am a radical, you see, for suggesting that people shouldn't have to be forced to live in fear. We're born into this. So we're weaned on a fear-driven unreality, okay? And it's all about the money. Okay, this is what I'm referencing here. We're all in captive. We're in this prison planet. It's a fear-driven paradigm. And if you don't go along and conform and comply to this to some degree, then no money for you. Okay, isn't that the state of affairs? Okay, that's it. It's all about the money. That's a big deal. I mean, if you don't have money, man, you don't get to live. It's basically that simple. It's basically that simple. So my advice is to use worldly wealth to win friends for yourself, whoever it may be. I mean, you're going to be blessed. I mean, believe me, you're going to be blessed. Anybody you win over from the darkness into the light, believe me, you're going to get blessings that you don't know about, like it's written in Scripture. Eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, what the Lord has in store for those who love him. And if you love him, you'll prove it by loving his children. Caring is loving, respecting, and having regard for. Okay? Treating others like family, like you want to be treated, the golden rule. Love others like you love yourself, like Jesus loved us. So, this is why we all get so turned on when we see these heroes that risk their own lives for the lives of others. We think that's a beautiful quality. That's exactly what God does for us day in and day out. This is what Jesus proved God's willing to do for us. So we've got to do it for others. We've got to say, look, if by me standing up for others and speaking the truth to power and all this, I'm hated, I can't change that. I don't want to be hated. But I've got to tell the people the score. I've got to tell them, look, this is how you've been duped and deceived. Don't buy the lie. Humanity can learn to live together in peace and harmony, safety, security, and unity. But you've got to see through the lie, the polarization, the devised polarization, artificial, conjured up polarization, division in the land to break us up so we're not unified. They don't want us coming at them as one force to say, no, we're done with you politicians. We're done with you banksters. We're going to have it our way, okay? Screw it. Liberals are going to have it their way, and conservatives are going to have it their way. We're going to have lower taxes. We're going to have fiscal prudence, and we're going to have generosity in the land. We're going to have velocity of currency. We're going to have sound economic policies that are going to benefit both sides of this thing. True conservatives, true liberals, good guys on both sides of this equation are going to benefit from these sound economic policies and putting these banksters and politicians out of business. We don't need you people. We need a government, but we don't need a bunch of piss ants running our lives, running the show. So we got to parent these people. Like the title of last week's video, parenting these evildoers, the cost of freedom. That's it, man. We've got to stand up to these people. And if they hate us, so what? You got to speak your mind, and speaking your mind, the more you do it, practice makes perfect. Tell people the score. I don't care if it's strangers you meet on the street, if it's people you work with, if it's family, if it's friends, if it's associates, whoever it is. Just like me doing these, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm talking, man. I'm trying to enlighten people. I'm trying to teach people basic economic principles and the fact that, look, our problems are highly solvable and in short order around the world. But you got to get it. You got to understand the resistance, how controversial that is. Like I said before, who would want to solve the problems when you know it's going to cost jobs? How evil is that? The problem, I'm talking about children, women, children, innocent people dying in dubious war. Okay, all the implications of the criminal industrial complex. All the people dying from extreme poverty, the welfare industrial complex. Do you understand? The debt industrial complex. It's a big deal, folks. So I know what the hell I'm talking about. And you can know it too. You can parrot these same things in your own words to other people. And we can start getting it together here, man, and being empowered and carrying our fair share way to the cross and demanding justice and parenting these idiots that are running our lives, that create the policies we're forced to live under. If you don't comply, no money for you. That's it. That's the threat. That's what they got. So it's a very fear-driven paradigm that's been shoved down our throats from birth that we've all learned to accept. This cost of living taxes, it's just the way it is. I'll go through